All right. This is the Ames Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for Thursday, October 15th. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this will be an electronic meeting. If you wish to provide input on any item, you may do so as a video participant by going to zoom.us/J/950-338-16272, or by telephone by dialing area code 312-626-6799. You may view the meeting online at youtube.com/Ames Channel 12 or at cityofames.org/Channel 12 or on MediaCom Channel 12. And I call this, I don't know if I officially called this meeting to order. All right. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the August 20th, 2020 meeting. Or do we have September? Is that not updated?
Oh, no, it should say September, sorry.
Okay.
September
I don't know.
19th.
September 19th?
17th.
17th. Okay. First amended item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the September 17th, 2020 meeting. Can I get a motion
to approve?
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, Jeremy moves to approve the meeting minutes and Jacob seconds. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public forum for items that are not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public in the waiting room to discuss anything, Keith?
Nope, nobody's got their hands raised.
Okay. Seeing no input for the public forum, we can go ahead and close public forum. Next item on the agenda is the capital improvements plan discussion.
Yeah, so with this, I'm just gonna share a screen if I can find it. It's not coming up. So with the CIP, I'll see if I can find it here. But with the CIP, just again, we did take some public input the last time. Shared the current plan with you, and we did take some public input, which Joan and Lori are both here from the last time, and then we did talk with staff, and we got some additional feedback from staff in regards to ideas. So I'm going to see if I can share this again. We're trying to share it, not even the first time. All right, so here we go. Everybody see that? Yep, everybody's good? Okay, so these are just some dates we've talked about, and again, today is October 15th. So commission discussion, and really what we're looking for from the commission tonight is to give staff direction if there are things that you see that you think should be included, you'd like to see included, if there are some projects that could be delayed, if you want to move something up, we'll have to move something back, all those types of things. After tonight, we'll prepare a draft. We'll meet with the city manager. Then commission will meet with the city manager on December 3rd. And then in January, present CIP to the commission and to council. So with that, we gave this to you last time, but just for those at home, here's a list, and I won't go through every one of these projects, but this is what's currently in 2021, which is this fiscal year from July 1st of 2020 to June 30th of 2021. So you can see, some of the things that we're working on right now. So year 2 of the plan, and this is in fiscal year 21-22. Downtown Plaza is something that City Council wants to pursue. There'll be a number of things. We'll have to hire a consultant. I think they are looking to the commission to eventually, maybe get public input and work through some of that and get some feedback and maybe make some recommendations, to City Council. You can see some of the other, items. The 2 items that you had, the commission wanted to be included in this plan was the transition to tennis courts, the 6 pickleball courts at Emma McCarthy Lee, and then the other one was install the accessible canoe and kayak launch at Ada Hayden. So that's what's in for year 2 of the plan. Year 3, you can see consolidate park maintenance facilities is a big one, and you're seeing playground equipment each one of these years. Replacing the light fixtures on the Furman deck. If you recall, a couple of summers ago, we did have a fixture fall on the deck, and we did have to drain one of the basins because of glass. And we're just thankful that it happened, when nobody was there. But we do want to replace those, and then you see some other items there as well. And then 23-24, this is year 4, with the Lowhead Dam project just to be about being done. You do start seeing some things here, additional parking by the Cottonwood shelter, and then we'll have installing a new shelter. You can see some of the things, paint the Furman pool basins. That's something that we have to do every 7 years or so. And then this was year 5 of the current plan. You can see replacing the Cottonwood shelter. That's by the Lowhead Dam. Get playground equipment. There are a couple items, they're coming up on the schedule for the ice arena that will need to be done. And then you can see some other items there as well. So that's the current plan. that we have. So, and just a refresher, we did have, and Nathan, you brought it up as well, to replace the bridge at disc golf. Kind of talked about that last time. The climbing boulder, widen path at Hayden, which year 5 we do have the south loop. When that will move up to year 4, and then in year 5 we'll want to add in the north loop, and we have some of that here. Enclosed shelter was something as well. So just from climbing boulder, I sent you more information about the proposal that the individual had sent us. But this just gives you an idea of what this may look like. Now, obviously, there's 3 climbing boulders here. You think the restrooms cost a lot of money, Jeremy? Wait till you get this backdrop, to bring that in somehow. that will be big money. So that just kind of gives you an idea. So those are some of the from the community that we heard from. So staff ideas, kind of broke this down, by park. So Jensen Pond improvements, and I have a picture here that I'll show you in a little bit if you're not familiar with that. One of the things that we have talked with the Friends of Ada Hayden Heritage Park is constructing a new wetland on the north end of the park, and I'll show you where we're talking about that as well, because there is a lot of water that comes from that north end and from the new development and things. So we do get a lot of water that runs across the path, which we're working on trying to fix as well. That'll just be in operations. But a wetland on that end would help. Any of that storm water that comes down through that end of the park, would help with reducing some of the nutrients, getting that out before that water goes into the lake. Increased funding for the fishing pier. Right now, how much do we have, Joshua? In the CIP for that? Do you remember? Okay.
I'll find it right now.
Yeah, I think we might have somewhere in the neighborhood of 50,000 or something.
It's 50 or 60,000.
Yeah, and their estimate to put a fix on it right now is 190,000. And that's one thing we have asked the designer to come back with some other options, and they're looking at that to see what some other things we might be able to do. Resurface the north loop, I mentioned that earlier. Auditorium, LED stage lights. At some point, looking maybe renovate the balcony restrooms. Not a super high priority right now, but is something to start considering. Country Gables Park did have some roof damage. We're just looking at, do we just replace the roof, or do we put a new shelter in? Homewood security cameras. The security cameras, we might be able to, with the project, we do have contingency built into the construction. And if we don't have a lot of changes, we could potentially use some of that contingency at the end to do the security cameras. So Ada Hayden, so this is the north end. This is the parking lot right here. You got the shelter. So this is Jensen Pond, up here. Right now, it has a lot of algae, duckweed, covers kind of the surface of the lake, with a number of the housing developments up here. Looked at, this could be a nice kid-friendly fishing area, but we would have to do some improvements to that. We also do have beaver that block the outlet, quite often. So we want to include in there a new outlet that the beavers can't block. So that's where that location is. Down here, we do have, this is kind of the area where we look at maybe doing some type of a wetland. We get the water coming down, this area right here into here. And if we can treat that through wetland before it goes into the lake, that would be a good thing. So something that we is on the radar. So some other ideas, renovate or expand the maintenance shop at Homewood, redo the front of the building. You know, we're looking to get some quotes. It's painted, it chips a lot. What we're thinking about is sandblasting, getting all the paint off and actually staining the front of the building so we don't have the paint issues. So it could wind up being an operational thing, but we have not received a quote on that yet. Replacing the scoreboard at the ice arena. May look to see if we can find maybe a sponsor or a donor, you know, to do something with the scoreboard. North River Valley Park, add parking by the soccer fields. We did have $200,000 in the CIP at one point, and that money because we've been holding off on that project until the raw water line from the new well fields from water, which are going to be, you know, north of North River Valley. That water line will come through there, so we wanted to wait. But we took that $200,000 and it's actually in the CIP for design for the downtown plaza. So we would need to add money back in for that. Renovate the restroom that's down there by the soccer fields right now. Increase funding for the concession building. We have $20,000 in there right now for that. But just to fix the roof is quote has been about $30,000. So we may have to add some additional money there. And then a couple things in our playground replacement plan. So Old Town Park for 25-26, and then O'Neill Park and that's both. There's two different playgrounds at O'Neill. Actually, both of them would get replaced in 25-26. Replacing the aerobics room floor, something that we're looking at. Outdoor fitness equipment, you know, with more and more people using the parks. We've been having some requests there. And then parkour equipment. And got a picture here. So what it is, it's really learning how to navigate your environment and using things that are in the environment as a way to go do it safely, you know, protect yourself, you know, how to fall. So this is just a couple of examples. We're not maybe suggesting that we would do this all in kind of one area, almost like a playground type of thing, but it might be spread out throughout a park, you know. So Nancy Shaw did offer a couple of classes for different age groups, and it's been very popular. So we're just thinking right now they're just taking stuff out there, putting it in the park and utilizing it. But if it continues to be popular, and that's what we think it will happen, is continue to grow. Could we put some equipment like this in a park and use it that way? So
just a thought, Keith, about the parkour equipment and the bouldering.
Yeah.
You know, both of those might be something that you would build over that rubberized surface. So, you know, that might be something where we consider putting them, you know, especially if you're going to put a rubberized surface beneath some of it, that might be something that could be put together. It seems like it would be a similar audience that's interested in sort of like balance type activities. Just a thought.
Well, and with the boulder, we would most definitely look at putting a rubber surface, you know, underneath that. It just seems to make sense. I don't know, Kelly, do you want to speak more to, again, in these two pictures, all this equipment is together. I'm not sure that's exactly what we're thinking with this equipment, you know, potentially spreading it out more throughout a park. So they're moving from one place to the next to get to it. So Kelly, do you want to add any thoughts there?
I think you're exactly right, Keith. I took the class this fall, and we used a number of different parks just because of the equipment and the surfaces there. We used Brookside Park. We went to Hilton and used the stairs and some of their railings. We went to South River Valley and used the playground equipment. So I think spreading it out throughout the park system would be, a great idea. And Sarah, your comment about the bouldering, it is kind of similar because you are climbing and learning how to fall and do those kind of things safely. So I think it does make sense if you had some of the parkour equipment with, a boulder or something. But I think Keith, you're right on with that.
Okay. So other comments, anything else that people are seeing? So just with your comments, Sarah, are you wanting staff to try to include a boulder somewhere in the park system, or you think it's good?
I think this parkour equipment is kind of down the line. I guess from the bouldering proposal, it sounded really interesting, and I thought the person who submitted it had really put some thought into it. I guess what I would like to see, it's not something I want to necessarily include in year one, of the CIP. But I think, it's sort of along the lines of the, accessible boat ramp or the court renovations. I'm having a brain fart. Yes. But if this person can drum up a little bit of more local support, he had some testimonials in the document from some people that are not in Ames, but if they're, especially if the climbing club, says, yeah, it would be great to have an outdoor facility, or it would be great to have facility, separate from state gym because state gym gets super busy, or, demonstrate that there is some interest in it. Kelly has talked about the parkour classes being offered within the city. And so if there is interest, it seems like there could be interest there for having a permanent facility. And the same idea here, just, having that sort of the friends group of the bouldering, boulder, come together, especially if they plan to do some fundraising, a group of people that says, this is something we're really enthusiastic about and we want to see it, within the next couple of years. Don't put it in year 5, but between that and the parkour equipment, putting it together, or putting some of it together, I think makes sense just from a, building the rubberized surface. And there seems to be some similarities there. So,
Yep.
Hey, Keith, it's Dwayne. Is there any partnership we're going to have on the ice arena scoreboard or upgrades with ISU? And then secondarily with the wetland, would there be anything with Public Works, since that's kind of the backup water reserve area?
Yeah. So with it, with the scoreboard, there potentially could be. Okay. So whether it's going to men's hockey, to AMHA, to all the groups that use it, and say, hey, could we all share the cost of this? We have not had that conversation yet. So yes, that is something that we will do to have that, and potentially there could be a donor out there as well. The scoreboard at the Miracle Field, was donated, and we may be able to do something similar with that. So yes, we will have that conversation. In regards to the wetland, we have not had any conversation yet with Public Works, because it may be something that they could possibly fund, the project. It could be something that we do with water, because water right now has some money set aside every year that to do nutrient reduction. So that's a possibility that we could work with them. And the Friends of Ada Hayden if we do get to that point that we do something, they have already indicated that they would put money towards that project as well. So I think, yeah, there's a number of possibilities in there, and there potential for some grants as well with it. We might be able to get some REAP grant, money, through the state. There might be some land and water conservation funding that might be available. So right now it's just a real preliminary discussion, and we haven't even looked at the real funding piece and who those partners could be.
I have a question, Keith, and maybe this is out of our scope, but what's the status of the continuation of the Skunk River recreational trail from South 16th up to Lincoln Way? Is that within something that we're looking at? Because it's kind of noticeably absent from this 5-year plan.
Yep. So with it, just to kind of review, so with our CIP, what we do is all related to the parks. All right. So things that are within the parks. So there's a lot of trails that happen, shared use paths that happen throughout the city, and that's under the auspices of Public Works. So with those connections, Joshua works with his counterpart in Public Works. They actually go out and tour, different paths and see where money should be spent, every year from a repair and a maintenance standpoint. But with that actually, there is money set aside for that trail or that connection from Lincoln Way to South 16th. But Public Works is working on that, and I believe they're still working on trying to get some easements, through some of the property, and then the goal would be is that would get connected. The nice thing about that then is once that's connected, then there will be a trail that will go from that trail along Squaw Creek and hook up with Duff. And the idea eventually is that all the way along Squaw Creek from the Skunk River Trail connection all the way up to Moore Memorial Park and maybe even beyond would be a trail. So there's a lot of things in the work, and if at some point you would want us to maybe have somebody from Public Works, to come and just go through and share some of that, we could most definitely do that. Is that something Commission would like to see? What else is happening, with the trail system?
Well, thanks for clarifying that. I didn't know what our scope was with that and what our responsibilities were, so I appreciate it.
All right.
I'd definitely be interested in that, especially, maybe after their CIP for the year is done, when they've decided that here's what we're doing for next year. But the Ames Bicycle Coalition has obviously not been meeting this last 7-8 months, so it would be interesting for them to kind of get that overview of Public Works, because it is there are a lot of connectivity between parks that the Public Works projects fall under. So,
and one of the other things that we could do maybe at the same time is we could have the traffic engineer go through the long range transportation plan, and not so much, and they're working on that right now. It's not quite finalized, but not so much from a road standpoint, but the trails are part of that long range transportation plan. And Josh and I have met multiple times with consultants and so on in regards to some of what you guys are talking about, connections and what do we see in the future and what's missing and things. So we could probably do both of those at the same time.
Yeah, and I think, there are projects, in terms of the long range transportation plan that are, the whole goal of that is to get people where they want to go, and often people want to go to parks. And so are there, we know at the Innis Grove, there's some deficiencies there with paths and sidewalks on the west and south side of the park. So Are there deficiencies in other parks where that park connects to another mode of transportation, bus stop, parking lot, whatever, that we need to consider a better connectivity there for accessibility, just things like that.
Yep. And one thing too, and I'll be having a conversation with the city manager about this, but so with the comprehensive plan, city's comprehensive plan, that's going to be, coming up here, and hopefully council will be approving it sometime in 2021, that we'll be doing a park master plan, right after that, and commission will be heavily involved, getting feedback and input, working with consultants, and so on. And that will address some of those, connection things, maybe some of the greenbelt connections, how do we do some of those, fill in the gaps. So that's something that will be happening as well. We've talked about already, and that may be something that we will be adding in, to the CIP. That's probably going to be, to do that plan, it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 50 to 75,000, just to have that plan done. But we'll also look at all of our parks and see what else could we do, with the parks, and it'll also look where do we need to add and so on. So that's another piece that will be coming down the road to help us from a planning and connection standpoint. Okay, these are all good comments. Any others? So one thing that I will mention is as we add things in, and if we have to increase funding, like we had, in a couple of items, potentially for the concession shelter at North River Valley, the fishing pier, some of those, we will have to move some of these items around. So maybe delaying a project and so on. So I don't know if you have any comments or just want to leave that up to staff, based on priorities and things that we need to address. All right, if not, I can see if Joan and Lori, neither of them have their hands raised, so. All right, well, I guess if there's really no action needed, just again, wanted to get feedback from commissioners. So if nothing else, we can move on to the next item, Sarah.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the discussion of the community gardens and food forest, and the survey that was completed recently.
Yeah. Let's see some of these things that I'm looking at trying to share. Well, with this, what's the commission's, and I guess just with it to start with, what we want to do is just kind of get feedback at this meeting. We'd like to get feedback from the commissioners on the results, and then what we want to do is take that feedback, and if we need to go out and meet with neighbors, we'd like to do that before the November meeting, and then come back with some recommendations at the November meeting, and then have commission take action on that, and then we would take it to council, take your recommendations to council. So that's what we'd like to do. So really no action is needed tonight, but we just wanted to get feedback based on what you saw with the survey, Comments, thoughts?
From my perspective, it certainly seemed like there was a fair bit of enthusiasm from the survey respondents, except for the person who said, "I don't enjoy gardening, not interested." It seemed like most of the enthusiasm was for, a typical garden plot or a low raised bed. There were a lot of comments about North Ames, and we don't really have space up there. So, oops. Okay, there. Keep goes. Okay.
So the one,
So,
from a north end, at one point we did share that at the end of Harrison Road, there was that space up there that we had said could potentially be used for gardens, but we'd want to go and talk to the neighbors. So you're saying, Sarah, that try to do something in the north end?
It just seemed like a lot of the feedback. I didn't really go through the feedback line by line and try to kind of bin it together in similar feedback. That might be something to do, to take the people voted as to where they're currently living, but they didn't necessarily say, I don't know if there's like if one of the answers isn't necessarily the location of new community garden plots. So to take all that typed feedback and sort of bin those feedback together, how many people said car park, several people said more at car park, several people identified West Ames type locations,
So I think what we could look at, Sarah, and we can cross tab some of these questions.
Yeah.
If the questions that I have up here right now, if you looked at, are you interested in having, if more were developed, are you interested in having a garden plot? You can see 104 people said yes. So we could cross tab this with their location and kind of get an idea that of these 104, where do they live? Because if you look at the next question here, when it says how important are the following items, garden location close to home is important. So if we could find out, with some of this information, and then with where they at, I think that would help us get some idea. It's not going to be perfect, but at least be able to give us some idea as far as do we need them in the north, south, west. But I think if we cross tab some of this, we could get maybe kind of hone in on it a little bit more to see where would be the best location or preferred location from people.
Yeah. I generally agree with that. And then just taking some of the people who did have specific location suggestions, sort of grouping those together by, west, north, east, south, and
Yep.
that might offer some other insight as well.
Yep.
Oh, this is unrelated to this topic, but is related to the previous topic. But the shared use path, I was just looking at someone said trip extension, the shared use path going from Arbor Street over to Franklin Park. I think the first part of that is in the CIP for next year. That is something I am fairly curious about as well.
Joshua, can you provide any update on that? You're muted, Joshua. I can hear him through the wall, but nobody else can hear him.
That's okay. I mean, it can be on our to-do list to talk about list with Public Works too. So
Yeah, Joshua can give you
oh, there he is. Okay.
Right when you started to ask that question, my speakers went out on my computer, and then obviously I was on mute. So I apologize. In regards to the bike path extension on Tripp Street, that is scheduled to take place next spring.
Okay.
So I have not seen the design for it, and also the path through Franklin Park is supposed to take place during that time as well.
I saw it was on a city council agenda, but I wasn't paying too close attention. So
yeah. Now, so the city purchased is in the process of trying to acquire some property on Franklin, so that trail can just go straight east out of the Franklin Park,
yeah,
all the way to the middle school site, or the former middle school site. Now the new development.
Okay.
Back to gardens. Any other comments? Any other observations from this information, survey results?
So you said that you were going to go talk to members of the community. Was that only if we were looking at a location in the north end, or was that generally?
Well, I think if we were going to, we'll do some of this cross tabbing, but if it shows that we should, there is a need in the north end or the west end or wherever it may be, kind of in those 5 quadrants that we had listed, I think it is necessary for us to go out, if we have a location in mind, to go and talk with the neighbors or the people in that area, no matter where it is, just to make sure that it's something that they agree with, or if they do have some concerns, that we listen to what they have to say and see if we can find ways to alleviate those concerns or somehow solve any issues that they may have. So yeah, I just use north as an example, but it would be in any part of the city.
Yeah, I think there was some just some general small concern that some of these areas have become informal neighborhood parks, and that putting, something else there would interrupt a lot of recreation that takes place there. So, I mean, that was the main concern. I think this survey is just more generally to determine interest levels before we go forward with anything, at which point there would probably be neighborhood outreach to make sure that we weren't stepping on any toes or any frisbee spaces or whatever. So
yeah, and that's and with it, and I'm getting the sense that the commissioners would like that information before making a decision or making a recommendation. So we will take your feedback, do this cross tabbing, and if there are some locations, either what we presented last time or other ideas that came off of the survey, we'll get some of that information and bring it at the November meeting. And any other thoughts? No?
It's neat that there are 140 plus people that responded. I think that's exciting.
Yeah, yeah, and then we're, you know, and at the top of this, now Jacob, you asked, you know, a question last time about response rate on some of these surveys. So you can see we sent 6,500 emails out. It was opened by over 1,800, you know, people. We also posted it on Parks and Rec Facebook. So 440 views, 7 engagements. And then on the city's Facebook page, almost 1,400 views and 42 engagements. So it went out to a lot of people. And again, this is why we send it out, is if they have no interest in gardening, then they don't even open it up. If they want to see more, they open it up. And if they have an interest, then they'll respond. So yes, it's always in.
Oh, except for the one person who was like, I don't like gardening. I'm not interested.
I think that was Joshua.
Yeah.
I just like taking surveys.
Yeah.
Good help. All right. So anything else on this one?
Okay. Okay. Move on to the next agenda item. Next item is Brookside Park historic pictures for potential placement on the restroom building. A couple of months ago, August, we had discussed at the Brookside council member. Yeah, so at the Brookside ribbon cutting, about some placement of art or photos on, or murals or something on the Brookside restroom, and just directed staff to present some ideas on what we could place on the former windows that are just currently white plaster.
Yeah. So we'll just share and you know, with this. So one of our staff members, Joe Newman, who's a principal clerk out at the cemetery, has worked with the Ames History Museum and Historical Society on some things. So that was a good fit for Joe to kind of work with these groups. So he did reach out to them, and Alex put together and really did a nice job of getting pictures, and the way he sent them to us, it was very organized and very easy to determine what they were. So with what Sarah was just mentioning, so with the new building, actually the renovated building, so there was, in these areas here, there used to be glass block windows. They were getting broken, very difficult to replace them. So what we did is we took them out, and then they were just plastered over, like Sarah mentioned. So this is, as you come into the park, looking to the north. This would be the south end. This is from the north side looking to the south. So those 3 areas, and then, you know, on the back side, you know, there are 4 areas. This one might be a little difficult because there is some electrical component right there. But these are the areas that it was suggested. Could we put some artwork or something into any of those areas? So we thought, and you know, the commission had directed staff to say, hey, what are some possibilities? So what Alex did was went back and took a look and got some pictures of things that happened at Brookside. So Chautauqua, you know, there's also Chautauquas that happened at the cemetery, and there's some neat pictures there. But you can see, you know, this, you know, 1905, you know, at the Brookside location, and you know, just with the horse and buggy and everything. So as we're going through these, you know, if there are specific pictures that you feel that would be good, you know, let us know so we can, you know, kind of highlight those. But otherwise, if you really don't care and it's just one of those where, we love them, staff, pick out a variety of pictures and share them, you can let us know. And then here's another picture of the Chautauqua as well. So, like we had mentioned earlier, there was a zoo, at one time. So a couple of pictures of Smokey here with at the zoo. Have a neat picture. It looks like this individual might have been in the military potentially. And then some different pictures from the bridges, that are spanning Squaw Creek, within the park. Some neat things there. Obviously some other pictures, not necessarily some dates. This looks like this may have been the bridge before the current one. You think that's right, Joshua? So, drinking fountain. It must have been a hot day, long line for the fountain. This is a railroad, not necessarily in Brookside. I'm guessing it's where the railroad sits right now, south of 6th Street. But what I was surprised about is this railroad bridge and how dry the creek is. There's not a lot of water or anything in there. And then this is just with the fire truck that's in there. This is a picture of it when it's actually still in use.
Oh, that's cool.
This is a good picture, huh?
Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, and then, if you don't know, Sarah used to teach tennis lessons for us. This was probably a little bit before your time.
Yeah, probably.
And dances that would happen out at Brookside, skating, the wading pool, different youth activities. Looked like a lot of scouting with some of the pictures that he had sent, a number of scouting activities that took place, horseback riding.
These pictures are so neat, Keith. He did such a great job putting these together. It really highlights kind of what Brookside was used for, and it gives us a glimpse to the past. I love these pictures.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of a picture that they posted very recently on their Facebook page, maybe a month ago, of, I think, opening of the 6th Street Bridge that goes, between the two halves of the park now. And that might be another cool one to include.
So Lori, she just made a note that not had a chance to send these to the entire group. Her board for the Friends of Brookside Park. The board members are really excited about this idea and very interested in this. And she'll send any feedback that she hears to us. And she agrees with you, Sarah, that the pictures are fun.
Yeah, there might be.
I have two concerns. I really like them, and I don't want to be devil's advocate, but I'm just going to throw them out there. One, I don't know what the cost of this is going to be, and I would be heartbroken if we spent a lot of money doing this and then they get graffitied over or something like that. So that's one concern. I do feel like if there was something there, there's less likely chance, but that's that. The other thing that just because of current events really. I love these photos. There's not a lot of diversity though, and I don't know if this is going to come under attack from anyone. So that's the only thing to take into consideration. History is history, but I've been burned by this a couple times in the last couple of years, so I'm just throwing it out.
Yeah, I think I really appreciate you making those comments, Eve. With the first one, yeah, we have not even looked at what the cost of these may be. But if we were to put them in, I could see doing some type of plexiglass, something over them. So if they did get damaged, we could always replace the plexiglass, without damaging the actual artwork or however we wind up putting it in there. But that is always a concern with anything that we do. Joshua and I were just up at Ines Grove today, and graffiti and everything came into the conversation as we were up there. Yeah, and with the second one, you're right. The history, there's not a lot of diversity, and I think it could be something that we could reach out to NAACP. Maybe there's some other groups. We could check with Iowa State and see if they maybe have some, because this is is university property, or most of it. We could check to see what they maybe have for pictures as well, and they may have something that's a little bit more or shows a little more diversity with it.
Or you could just use the pictures of the bears and inanimate objects and not worry about that.
I was thinking the bear added quite a bit of diversity, actually.
The bear is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, even if there are, if Lori reaches out to the friends group or the neighborhood, and there might be people with pictures of nature scenes or, wildflowers in the park, or birds or anything like that. And then also, pictures from the neighborhood. There might be some interesting things that pop up.
Yeah, and we already have some pictures from that are more nature oriented. We have some people that have taken pictures throughout the park system, and I think we have one from. I think it's from Brookside. It might just be some trees with a lot of snow or after a snowstorm kind of thing. Just some of those kind of pictures might be kind of neat as well. But one of the things Lori also mentioned that the Friends group may be able to help raise some funds, and she will ask for other pictures that neighbors may have or the Friends membership may have also. So, well, these are all good.
And I really like the idea. Don't hear me being a naysayer. Just wanted to consider it.
Yeah,
I think those are good. I mean, this is a great place to start, but I definitely think broadening the scope of the types of pictures and reaching out to other organizations that have had a stake in the park over the years is a great idea. So
Those big white empty spaces, I mean, as attractive as those no. This would be really cool.
Yeah, and this may be something too that appreciate Lori's comment about maybe doing some fundraising. Because again, with the budget, that what we're dealing with the pandemic and reduced revenue and everything, this may be a project that we wind up, hey, we really love it. May not just be the right time. We may have to put it off for a year or two, and then do something later on. But all right. And any other questions, comments?
No, thank you to Ames History Museum for putting that together. It's fun to see. It's a fun starting place for this. So.
And one of the things that the History Museum, I should mention, they did ask if we did use some of these pictures, if they would be able to get some recognition.
Yeah.
And what we did is we told them we would do that. We've done that in some other areas. So in the bottom, we'd use probably the format that we do for some of our signs, and we'd have a thing on the bottom, and we'd put their logo, City of Ames logo, maybe
Yeah.
a description of what it was. So.
Totally. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda is a motion of whether or not to hold the November, like what month is it? November Parks and Recreation Commission meeting virtually or in person. Would anyone like to make a motion on that?
Do we want to, I mean, how does everybody else feel?
Well, you can make a motion and we can discuss it. That's how it works.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we hold it virtual, I guess.
Okay.
Again.
Dwayne second. Okay. All right. Any discussion?
Okay, now how does everybody feel?
I'm fine. I'm fine with it continuing to be virtual.
The virtual is handy, that's for sure. I mean, it's easier for probably everybody, but at some point, do we need to think about actually going back?
Yeah, for sure. From my standpoint, so I got called for jury duty, and it was, it was in a bigger room, and we were spaced further apart, and there were a number of accommodations made. So I guess if we're gonna go forward and have in-person meetings, does the city want to hold them in the chambers? They want to hold it in a larger venue like the auditorium or something, so people can be spaced further apart. Those are kind of considerations, and I don't know if city council has talked about that, but those are things that if we do move back to in-person meeting, I would like there to be a conversation about how we're going to hold those safely. So, not that our meetings are ever packed,
Right.
but to have a protocol for, for in-person council and commission meetings, I think is reasonable. Are you meeting in person with the Senate, Jacob?
Yeah.
You are, okay.
Yeah, we've been meeting in person the whole time. We've just been socially distanced and basic coverings required and whatnot.
Do you meet still in the Campanile room or in the Great Hall or?
Great Hall.
Oh, so you do a bigger venue?
Yeah, more space. Just so everyone can stay spaced out. Are any of the other boards and commissions meeting in person right now, or are they all online?
I don't know that for sure. I have not heard, that any of them are going in person. I know city council, for the foreseeable future is continuing with the Zoom meetings. And I think there's some hesitation with what the fall and winter, will bring, with the pandemic. Will it get worse? Will we have a second wave? Won't we? So I think they're just being a little cautious as of right now. But I can find that out for the next meeting and let everybody know what if any of our other boards. But I have not heard of any that are meeting in person.
Yeah.
Also, Keith, one other question: has there been any pent-up demand? Because I know, like, we do it virtually, and there's a couple people watching that we know of, or that I know of anyway, just from the participant list down. But have there been any comments from the public saying, I wish you'd get back to, in person, we'd like to come talk, don't feel comfortable in this setting or whatever?
I have heard from no one in regards to going to back to in person. And in fact, Lori made the comments last month that she thinks it's a little bit more inviting for people you know, a little more convenient, like you had said earlier,
Mhm.
to be able to join in. But no, we haven't. I don't know, Kelly or Joshua, have you heard from anybody about going to the in-person? Yeah. But I'll find out from, you know, see what if council is giving any direction, and then also if there are any other boards and commissions. If they are meeting in person, I'm gonna guess it might be a smaller. There are some commissions where maybe only 3 people, and they generally don't have, you know, they just get together and discuss some items, and there's really not a lot of audience to those meetings or to those commissions. So I'll find that out and get that for the next meeting.
Great, yeah, and I think just, like I said, if council moves to start having them in person again, if there's discussion of having it in the city auditorium or in the, you know, in a larger venue, that is something that I'm interested in. Yeah, it was weird to have court in the gym of the Gates Hall. It was pretty weird. So, but it was fine. All right. Any more discussion on the motion to hold the November commission meeting over Zoom? All right. All in favor of holding the November commission meeting virtually, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Seeing none, the motion carries, and we will have our November commission meeting online. All right, next item on the agenda is the update on Parks and Recreation operations due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, so I'm going to not have all of these things pulled up, but every time I want one of them, it's not there. So I will get this one going. I thought it would be easier just to show you this rather than the last time where I just rattled off a bunch of numbers for you. So again, what we've been doing is every month, staff, we get these reports and how we're doing for revenue and expenses and things. And what we do is we take a look and we have discussion. I have discussion with Kelly and Joshua, and Joshua and Kelly have discussion with their staff, and we have a monthly staff meeting with all of our employees and go through, you know, the same information with them. So this right now is through September, so through the first quarter, and you can see just from an expense standpoint, compared to last year, 1920 actuals compared to this year's actuals, you know, our expenses are down, you know, $500,000, which is a lot, but you also look at, you know, revenues, you know, are down, you know, 330,000. But if you look at it, you know, last year, you know, through the first quarter, we would have had a tax subsidy of 702,000. This year, right now, tax subsidy is 535. But again, this can all change, you know, with things, and we are getting you know, closer to, you know, these colder months, and staff has been doing a great job of trying to see how we can do programs safely. What can we do? Finding new ways to do it, doing them virtually, charging for them virtually. We've got people that are signing up and paying for virtual classes, and so on. So this gives you an idea of the general fund. So this is a lot of, you know, administration costs, you know, instructional, athletic, sports leagues, wellness, our aquatics, our facilities such as community center, auditorium, band shell. You know, that's what's all lumped into this general fund, you know, numbers. Then we go to Homewood Golf Course. Again, it's an enterprise fund. Revenues need to cover expenses. So you can see, expenses for this year through September was a little bit more than last year. But one of the things you have to take into account is last year we did not have a recreation manager during the months of September and October. So their salaries would not have been in those numbers. And then, the other thing that we're doing with this year, so last year, 45% of that recreation manager's salary was attributed to, I think maybe it was a little bit more than that, but I think 45%. Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what was allotted to Homewood. This year with the clubhouse, happening and with rentals and being a year-round facility, we now have 70% of that recreation manager's salary is allocated to Homewood Golf Course. So that's some things that we'll be keeping an eye on as we move forward. Revenues, you can see, 10,000 more, than last year, which is great. And again, if we wouldn't have lost, 10 days to the storm, we've been, killing it, even more so than what we are. So you can see revenue over expenses, we're ahead of pace of what we were last year. This number will now, over these next October, it'll still probably be this, but as we get into November and December, January, February, we have all of our expenses, but we're not bringing any revenue in at that time. So this number will continue to shrink. And then, when we start selling season passes and so on, we start bringing revenue in the spring, then we'll balance out. And again, at the end, hopefully revenues are over expenses. All right. And then with the ice arena, with this one, just a little bit of the opposite. We do have, expenses that are just a little bit under last year. We did have Freon. We had to purchase some additional Freon, which was $10,000, which showed up in the September budget. And so that's an expense that we weren't, counting for. But you can see the revenues, are still down quite a bit. If we just look at the September revenues from last year to this year, they were pretty close. In 1920, our revenues were 19,000 for September. This year they were 17,000. So the revenues weren't off too much, but still as a whole, we're you can see our expenses are over our revenues by quite a bit. So this one we're continuing to work on, looking at different things that we can do to make it through this year without having to drain the operational fund. So that's just an update. We're still as far as our temporary seasonal staff, we are hiring some as needed, but we don't have a lot that are working. Still have some of our full-time staff. They are working at facilities, so we can save on some expense of the temporary salaries. We have some of our staff still working within the park system or at Homewood mowing and doing things. So we're continuing to do what we can, try to keep everybody working and still, without breaking the bank. So any questions for Joshua, Kelly? Do you have anything else to add? No? All right.
Okay, next item on the agenda then is update on the August 10th derecho storm recovery and cleanup efforts.
Yeah, so with this one, this will probably be the last time that we'll put this on the agenda. But for the most part, we've gotten through the park system. We've got a lot of things cleaned up. We've been able to get into like East River Valley and clean up some of the more wooded trails. But there still are pockets of things that we need to take care of. Still going through and fixing some shingles on shelters, and we have some fence items that we need to take care of. One thing with all the debris piles, with Homeland Security, and we mentioned at this time that they contracted with some tub grinders with the grind the debris, and then also take care of the mulch at the end. So they did start this week. If you've been by the middle school, they've already tub grinded all of that material. They haven't hauled it away yet, and they are working on the other two piles down by the maintenance shop on 13th Street, and then also the coal pile, the old coal pile off of Lincoln Way. So, anything to add to that, Joshua?
No, you hit all the high points. One thing I want to say is that we are still reviewing. Once the leaves are falling off the trees, we're still looking at all the trees in the right of way in the park system, just to ensure that no hazards appear, or we notice any hazards. One thing that we have noticed is that the storm that happened in August really weakened a lot of trees, and some of them have failed recently just because of some of the windy conditions that we've had. So it's just we're constantly staff is constantly on their toes looking at different trees. We are still getting a few calls from neighbors or from residents in Ames in regards to tree issues as a result of the storm on August 10th.
And one of the things also, Joshua and I were just talking about this a little bit earlier, just in regards to doing, and I know the right of way is not a part of this group or part of your responsibilities as a commission. But one of the things we've just with contractors, just related to the derecho, we've already had roughly about $80,000, $75,000 to $80,000 worth of expense. That's in the right of way and in the park system, where we've had contractors come in and do work, and then that is continuing. So hopefully we'll get reimbursed, for some of that money from FEMA, but again, it might be 85 to 90% of that we'll be able to recoup, and not the whole 100%. So, any questions for Joshua or I regarding derecho?
Hey, Keith or Joshua, either one. I was driving by on the weekend and I saw some guy loading up his truck with the chippings. Is there something that the city might be doing to sell the perceived mulch, or is it going to get trucked? All of it going to get trucked away?
Go ahead, Joshua.
As part of the contract that the state has set up, the contractor is responsible for taking care of all the grinding and all the disposal. Initially, the plan was to take this mulch to the Boone County landfill to be used as cover, and the landfill was very excited about that. But it came back that a couple other communities had a lot more mulch than they thought they had originally, and so the landfill is not where it's going. It's actually going to, and I thought this result is actually better, but there's a company up on I-35 called Golden Valley, and they sell mulch products. So this product is actually going to go up there. So, it's kind of nice. The city is not going to expend any money, is not expending any money at all for this process. The state is handling all of it. We don't have to touch any of it other than getting the debris there. So, so that's been a win on our end. I wish that we could make some money off of it, but sometimes that creates a lot more issues. I'm trying to figure out that process. So Golden Valley is going to take it up near Randall, Iowa.
So people just stopping by over there shouldn't be stopping by over there?
I don't. There's still one mulch pile down there on East 13th Street that is chips that our crews and the contracted crews have mulched. So yeah, that pile down there that's always been there is still free for the taking.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thanks Joshua. And if residents see any, of the hanging branches or anything like that, should they just email you or email Keith or message? How should they let you know?
Yeah, no, both of those ways to get a hold of us are fine. Our city foresters email and phone number on the website. They can also call our community center, and we'll make sure we get those messages funneled to Paul so he can look at them and address them.
Okay.
Yeah. In addition to that, I think if people do see it, they can call the cemetery as well at 515-239-5341. And that's where our forester is, his office is out of. So Joe is out there, so he could take those calls. And then, did you just mention Click See Fix, Joshua? That's another way for people to share information if they see it. And that's on the city's website.
Great. Okay. Next item on the agenda is project updates.
Yeah, so with this one, we thought we'd just share some pictures with you, and just on some of the projects that we have, ongoing or wrapping up. So this is in Innis Grove. This is the Duff Avenue, the restroom off of Duff Avenue, and just obviously the picture to the left was before, and then the picture on the right is after, and it's just night and day difference. So these the restroom turned out really well. It had been open. We are now obviously closing our restroom, shutting them down with the colder weather coming. So that's something that's taking place. But that's a before and after picture up there. The new restroom. We actually, Josh and I were up there, just did the final walkthrough for this one. And all the punch list items were taken care of. So that's what this looks like. Again, both of these restrooms, gender neutral restrooms. And this is just a picture of the changing table, that's in each of these two restrooms. And they're adult size changing tables. And I've shared with you before, with child serve and other individuals that are going to be utilizing these tables, these restrooms. We went out and got their input, and this is the result of it. And we have had people that have seen these, that have adult children with disabilities, are absolutely in awe of this possibility and having these in there for them to be able to change their adult children, when needed. So that's the new restroom.
You throw these restroom pics in just for me.
What was that?
You throw these restroom pics in just for me?
Yes. Yeah.
Is Keith, is there maybe you're going to get to it, if they're still going to be opening up the inclusive playground this fall?
Yeah, so with that, what we're working on is working with the foundation to they need to finish up the punch list that we went through. They'll also need to provide some other documentation. We're hoping to try to take that at the last meeting of council, October 27th. That's the date, October 27th. And if we do that, then the playground will open shortly after that. And once that is done, we will still be doing a ribbon cutting, this fall, whether it's the first week of November or second week of November. But once we know when we're going to do the transfer, then we'll let you know when that ribbon cutting is going to be. Okay. So with that, Homewood Clubhouse. So if you haven't seen any of the pictures of the burning, again, thank you to the Ames Fire Department for burning it down and saving us some money. We use it for a training exercise. I did notice just before we got started that I have two of the same pictures in here. So this kind of shows you a picture of the foundation. This picture here was when they were just starting to pour the footings, and this is basically the basement where the carts are going to be stored. So that's this part of it. It's not this whole thing. I think it's about from right here, over, maybe not even quite that far. But that's the basement where the carts are. This gives you an idea. These are the footings. This will be a slab on grade, concrete slab on grade. This will be the vestibule when you come into. This is where you'll come into the clubhouse. This area will be kind of that clubhouse check-in area, and then back here above the basement will be the most of the community room. And then this just gives you an idea of the size of the basement, and all of these boxes on the side. Those are charging. There'll be outlets, and that's where the charging stations will go for the carts, because they are all electric. I think those were the only pictures of Homewood. So it's coming along nicely. There, and I think Joshua will talk. I'll let him talk more about it during the monthly report, unless you want to say something now, Joshua, about the next month, what should be happening. You were unmuted. Now you just muted yourself. There you go.
Hopefully I wasn't. Hopefully you couldn't hear me anything. So over this next couple months, they're going to be starting. The electrical has been roughed in the basement. They've started roughing in the plumbing. Later, probably the first week of November, going to start framing, which is going to be exciting. But hopefully in the next week and a half, they're going to pour the slab for where the registration area is, where Keith has his cursor currently. So things are going to start moving rather quickly, so they can get it enclosed hopefully by the end of November.
Thank you. So bandshell lighting, just some pictures of what with the LED and some of the possibilities, and the number of lighting possibilities, color possibilities are endless with the LED lights. So gives you a little bit of look there. Kelly, you want to add anything to this at all?
I think that's about it, Keith. We're adding some protections to protect the LED lights right now. We hope to get the shell painted here in the next couple weeks, and then we'll do a ribbon cutting concert, hopefully in the spring, and show off the lights.
So, any questions about any of these projects?
I have a question about the Emma McCarthy Lee Bridge, but maybe it'll be in the monthly report.
Well, if you have a question, you can ask it right now. That's fine.
I'm just wondering, I've seen the crane down there, and I'm just wondering, it looks like they took out one of the larger trees, mangled a couple other trees, but just wondering how that's going.
Yeah. So go ahead, Joshua.
Yeah, so the Hanko is ready to start construction. I'm waiting on some approvals from FEMA. We submitted some information a while back to obtain some more money, and that is taking a little bit to get approved. And FEMA has advised us not to start construction until that money is approved. So we're hopefully in the next week or so, we can get that rolling. But don't have the approval yet. But the plan is still to put it in, start construction yet this fall. And the company that's building the bridge is based out of Montana. So they are going through the submittal process currently, and it'll take about a month to 6 weeks to build the bridge. So hopefully things start rolling here pretty quickly.
Awesome, thank you. I also saw the Visu sewer people were back after not being here for some time. Are they working on completing the sewer visualizing and lining, or?
Yeah, so they're moving right along on that project. The lining is completed. What you're seeing, what they're doing now is on all the areas where they're connecting, or on all the areas where the private services connect to the pipe, they are basically grouting and sealing those areas to prevent any type of leaks or whatever they need to do to just prevent any type of leaking in that area. So that's what they're doing right now. That's going to be a couple of weeks. And then still yet this fall, they're going to complete the project, they're going to add mulch to the path. They're going to, but before that, they're going to do some, in some of the areas, the path is wider than it's supposed to be. So they're going to bring the path back to 12 feet. And then fix some other areas. I don't know if you've been back there, Sarah, or any of the commissioners have been back there, but the stepping stones are in, well, the stepping stone, there are stepping stones in place. They don't meet specifications, so we've consulted with, or worked with the consultant to get that taken care of. And then there's some erosion on one side of the creek bank that needs to get mitigated, but they're getting close to getting done. And the plan is for it to be completed by the end of November. Just a quick update. There were some questions and concerns from some of the neighbors recently. So Haviz from Public Works and myself met with some of those neighbors and some of the Friends Group individuals from the Friends Group. We walked the trail last week and addressed some of their questions and concerns, and they were all fine and approved of what was going on. But I told them, I said, our goal is to get everything like we said we were going to do. One of the issues was, like I said earlier, was the maintenance, or was the path being wider than it should be. So they don't like it the way it is right now. And I told them, I said, we're going to hold them to it to get it to 12 feet. So.
Yeah, I have been back there, but closer to the park. I haven't been further west or on the south side of the creek, so more just close to the park. So okay. Project updates. Next item on the agenda is monthly report. If there's anything that we didn't touch on.
Just want to remind the commissioners and the public that's watching that the restrooms will be closed after this weekend. Water fountains are already turned off. The water fountains are more susceptible to freezing than the water systems in the restrooms. But today was the last day to have a shelter reserve, so you'll start seeing restrooms that are closed next week, unfortunately. But that's the way it is around here in Iowa. So.
Yep. Great.
I just want to remind everybody that we have open swim at Municipal Pool. We also have public skate at the Ames ISU Ice Arena. We also have open basketball. We also have some open pickleball and badminton time. If you go to the home page, www.amesparkrec.org, thanks to Katie, put a nice chart or graph on there with some easy, quick links to register for those classes or programs, because you do have to pre-register for them because space is limited. And also it will bring you to programs that are currently available. So if you're looking for a youth recreation program, you're looking for a fitness class, easy to find, and will take you right to Rec Track and what you're looking for. So thanks again, Katie.
One other thing that I would add, it's not on the monthly report, but if any of you have seen with the Best of Story County, they rate and have customers rate the restaurants and a lot of different things. Actually, Homewood Golf Course was rated at the best golf course of Story County. So hats off to Pat Wienia, who takes care of the turf, Nate Peets, who runs the clubhouse, and all of our other staff, full-time staff, temporary staff that have their hands in making that course what it is. So So congrats to everybody, and thanks to everybody that does what they do to make it a great course.
All right. Okay. If we are done with monthly report and project updates, any other comments from the commission?
Hey, Kelly, this is kind of for you guys. Since we're going to be putting LED lights into the band shell, is there any indication that you guys are going to keep the lights on, say like right now it's Green Dot Month, lighten it up green or lighten up red for cancer awareness, those kind of things?
Yep, great question, Dwayne. So we actually worked it out with the programmer, and once we get the protections in place, Craig's out there today and tomorrow working on them. We're actually going. The programmer is going to come back and program it on, and the lights will come on at dusk, and will automatically turn off in the morning when the sun sets. Right now, we just have it programmed to be like a white light, and what we're thinking is in the upper arches, ones that people couldn't get to. But yep, they'd be on every single night. But we can definitely ask him about, certain colors. I don't know if we'll be able to do that because it's a pre-program just to come on at night and then turn off in the morning time.
Oh, cool. Thank you. And Keith, I had a question for you. We were at Emma McCarthy Lee in the Hope Church was having a service there.
Yeah.
And there was some people, we were riding our bikes and we were kind of sitting on the top area, and there was some people coming up, and they were not real happy when they went to try driving down in there. And I know they have a flag, but is there something more that we can do that alerts people to not try to drive down when that's happening that aren't part of the church service?
Well, the parks are open, for anybody. So are you saying, so you're saying when you're there for the service, you were on your bikes and people were trying to drive down, down towards the tennis courts? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we were on the top. We weren't there for the service. We were just riding our bikes in the area.
Okay.
And some people were driving into the parking lot and trying to go down. And one of them had to back up because they said the church service was kind of taking over the area. And so they asked, I don't know, I was just happened to be standing by the road, and they asked if there could be better signage so they didn't have to drive down there and turn around. I didn't go down, so I couldn't tell you how the church was there or where they were or anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, until Joshua can probably contact them and find out more information as far as what they're doing. But they shouldn't be taking over the whole bottom. If people want to go down there and play tennis, they should be able to play tennis. If they want to go down there and utilize open green space and kick the soccer ball around, they should be able to do that. So we'll follow up. Thanks for sharing that. We'll follow up with the group and see what's going on and see if we can alleviate those problems.
Okay.
We were also down there. Was it last night? Or they were setting up for their service. Yeah, it was last night, and we were down in the bottom of the park, and I don't know, because they had their large cargo truck parked in the parking lot across from the picnic shelter. And then if they had cords or cables running over to their sound equipment, and we were there pretty early, so we were able to get through okay. But I wonder if as they continued to set up more of that equipment was close to the roadway and people didn't feel like they could drive through there. So I don't know if there's a good option, but yeah, I was there as well. So I guess, saw a little bit of what was going on, at least from my perspective. When we were down there at 5-ish, it was still okay to drive through. We drove through from the west side towards the east side. So
yeah, we'll check into it. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with their head of facilities today. That's the first, Dwayne and Sarah, that's the first I've heard of them blocking roadways, but so thank you for making us aware of that. Actually, Sunday is their last day to doing that. They're actually going to be going indoors next week. So, but I will make sure that they, allow free passage through there for Sunday.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other commission comment? I think I got all of my comments out when I was asking about project status. All right. No other comments. Our next meeting will be Thursday, November 19th at 4 p.m. and that will be held online. The following meeting is Thursday, December 3rd, and that is a meeting. It is open to the public. It will be with the city manager, and I don't know if we'll have that in person or online. But usually that is held off-site. And then Thursday, December 17th, regular meeting, and that occasionally gets canceled because of lack of items, but we'll see what December brings. So, all right, any other comments or anything? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, Jacob moves to adjourn. Meeting is adjourned.
Bye, guys.
Around